Yeah. Like with me, I think that if you know Audacity, there should be no excuse to learn FL Studio. There's really no excuse at all.
I don't know. That's pretty easy.
Yeah, unless you can't obtain FL Studio, I see no excuse. Like you can't say because it's hard as an excuse because like it isn't. Like I have so many friggin' tutorials online. Like you can't. No one should use that excuse on me. Okay, so did you get the link?
I've got the link.
Okay, and you see FL. Which version of FL Studio do you have?
Let me quickly check.
If it looks like my interface, you're using FL10. If yours looks
12.4.
11.4.
12.4.
Oh, 12. Okay, cool. You have the updated one. Oh, you fancy, yeah. So, let's say, okay, so you can see my screen and all that, right?
I can, yeah.
What's up, TLH? So first, the big thing is how do we sync, the music, right? So I'm just gonna open up that. Okay, I'm gonna show you how I kind of like put together stuff, and I'm gonna show you like volume automation, how to sync properly, and like proper like workspace management. Okay, first off, you're in FL Studio. Click up here, which is says audio clips, and make sure that zero cross and stretch are off. Zero cross and stretch. It should be up in the top left corner. Well, once the stream catches up, you'll be able to see it.
Yeah, it's just catching up now.
Yeah. So zero cross and stretch, take that off because that's completely useless.
Give me a second. I need to find that. Actually, I have no idea what it is.
Yeah, no problem. You'll see it on the screen. Zero cross is actually when you cut a clip, it'll automatically like detect the lowest point and cut there. But honestly, there's no friggin' point of zero cross at all. Like there's better ways to do it. And stretch kind of messes with audio files because you're stretching it to fit, and we don't want to stretch our files to fit because that's just poor technique. Open two songs having the same BPM. Yeah, really, TLH. Okay. So did you take off zero cross and stretch?
No, I'm still looking for it.
Oh, okay.
After a great start.
It's right up here on the top left. So let me send you.
Okay, got that bar.
Let me send you a screenshot.
Sure.
So it's like. Actually, maybe I should like use like a red arrow or like something. Let me circle it. Yeah, there's certain kind of like defaults that FL Studio will like make you do, but I think it's like completely like stupid and useless. So here's what I'm talking about right up here.
Ooh, Kei Yorishima became friends with John Dance.
Okay, do you see it now?
Okay, yeah, that's enough.
Okay, so you turned it off?
Oh my god.
Yep.
Good. Now, up here, on the top part, there's something called Mixer, and you're going to click on that, and on the master channel, which is where it's at right now,
yep.
You might have something called Fruity Limiter. What you'll want to do is that you'll want to click on the drop down and press None. So, on your screen, it's probably going to look like this, like the Fruity Limiter is already on. Click on the drop down, replace, and then go to None because I hate Fruity Limiter. Fruity Limiter, essentially what it does is that it makes sure that you're okay. TLH, I'm gonna leave because I'm a pro and this is boring AF. I mean, yeah, TLH knows the software better than me. So, what is it? Yeah, so take Fruity Limiter.
Turn it off, yeah.
Yeah, so there shouldn't be anything on your master channel. Fruity Limiter, essentially what it'll do is that it'll boost all your frequencies to the 0.0 decibel thing. Like, it has like a built-in compressor and you don't want that. Like, it doesn't sound right. So, I'm going to start with putting together a really simple mashup. I'm going to be using a bass. So, I'm going to take an instrumental.
Did you YouTube it?
Let me just open up a file. Okay. I'm gonna drop an instrumental down into the workspace. Okay, so I'm gonna click and drag it and just drop it in.
For the kids then to do.
Okay, my computer's being really slow right now. Okay, good. So the instrumental is in. Let me take off paint. I think that's slowing me down. Okay, so did you? Okay, so let me just
Got an
see.
instrumental in there.
What?
I've got an instrumental in there.
Good. So now, you can actually zoom in by holding Control and the scroll wheel. You can zoom in and you can zoom out that way. Okay.
Cool.
Right. So you can zoom into it. You can zoom out. Okay. Up here, it says like half step, or it might say line or cell. Turn it on to half step so that it knows to snap your audio onto the existing grid. Okay.
Half step.
So do you see the snap feature on the top?
Yep, see it.
Yeah,
And
so
it's on
make it
half step now.
half step. Wait, do you have half step?
It's on half step now, yeah.
Perfect. So, that's essentially your lock feature. It'll default to that, which is good. I like half step. So now we need to find out what we want to make the project file. So when you're inputting BPM, your beats per minute, whatever you put up here is going to be everything that your audio will snap to. So I want my instrumental to be at 100. I mean, I want the whole mashup to be at 142 beats per minute. So right now it's defaulted to 130. I'm just gonna click and drag it and bring it to 142. Okay.
Sure.
All right. So it's at 142 now, and I'm gonna click up here. There's a red light and a green light, or something. Or on your end, it might be like pattern and song. What you're gonna want to do, you're gonna want to press song, which is like the green light. Yeah, it's up here. It's right to the left of the play button.
I don't think I have that.
Screenshot your FL Studio for me, and I'll take a look at it. Okay, so where it says like the little recycling arrow thing, you're gonna want to click that.
So it's in song pattern mode.
Yeah. Or actually, what you can do is, okay, look at the screen. You can actually click on this bar, which is like the progress bar of the. I mean, it's like the where to play kind of bar. It's like right here, and just click that, and then it'll automatically go onto song. So you're not playing a pattern; you're playing a song now. So you're playing what is in the
Okay, I see.
file. Okay, so you set. Let me just take a look at your project. Okay, so you set it to. Is your instrumental actually in 134 beats per minute?
It is, yeah.
Okay, good. How did you get that number? Did you use Virtual DJ?
I think I did. It's either that or Audacity, one of the two.
Okay. So now what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to move it so that the beat of it falls onto one of the existing grid lines. So I'm going to listen to my audio file. That's really loud. Hold on. Okay, so I think this is the first beat, so I'm going to snap it onto this right here. And make sure that the peak of the beat falls cleanly on the line. So what you can actually do is you can move it around, right? It's going to snap to half a step. But now, if we go up to here, which is the slip tool, click on the slip tool, and now you can actually keep the audio file in the same position, but you can actually like move around the waves. So we have the slip tool on. Now we can actually like click and drag it. And if you zoom out, you can actually see I'm clicking and dragging it without moving the whole kind of box. So zoom in, control scroll wheel, hold Alt to take off the snap, and then make sure it snaps perfectly onto one of the grid lines. Okay? The slip tool looks like two arrows pointing away from each other.
Cool, done.
Okay, perfect. So now you have your beat on like an actual part. you can actually, if you go into draw, you can actually change this part right here, which is the start of the audio file. This box essentially is just saying, hey, there's something going on here. In good practice, you want the box to snap perfectly onto a grid line. That's just good practice. Not even Mahado knows how to do this. So this is very important, so that when you're actually like dragging and dropping your instrumentals or your audio files, it actually snaps cleanly onto the grid. So now we have, we can play it by pressing the space bar, and then we can see if the beats line up, and it lines up perfectly. Let's say we want to alternate between actually, I'm gonna bring in the acapella now. So I'm gonna click and drag this acapella into the audio file. Okay, now the acapella is at its own speed. Now what we're gonna want to do is we're gonna want to make it to the speed of the project file. In my case, it's 142 beats per minute. In your case, it's 134 beats per minute. So I know that my acapella is in is that 142 beat. Sorry, hold on. Wait, what is my bay drive? Let me just verify. The bay drive is in 142. What you know is in 139. Yeah. So my acapella is at 139 beats per minute. Now here's the fun part. We're gonna like, because in Audacity, when you change the speed of it, you can only go so many decimal places, right? So what this is doing is that you're actually snapping your BPM to be perfectly in sync. So we're gonna double click on the bar where the acapella is, and a window has popped up here. Now, where it says time stretching, what you're gonna want to do is right click on the time and go to auto detect. Okay? Now we've opened up this window. It says tempo detection. We're gonna type in the beats per minute right here. Type in BPM. Click that, and then we're gonna input what is the BPM of the audio file. So in this case, it's 139. So we're gonna hit enter, and it's going to snap perfectly. Okay, did you get all that?
Yep, got all that done.
Yeah, if you see it on the video, like the video is going to be uploaded anyway, so it's going to be very useful to refer back to. Now, what has happened is that the acapella has stretched itself to perfectly sync. However, the key of it got pitched up because, well, or pitched up or down. So we want to keep it in the same kind of pitch. So we're going to click on this little bar here. I'm going to click on Pro Default, but you're going to want to click on generic E2 or E3 or something like that. So essentially what you're telling it is, you're telling it, I wanted you to stretch to that, but I want you to stay in the same key. Right?
Yep, generic E3, it's doing it right now.
Okay, perfect.
All done.
At this stage, actually, in a few more minutes, you're going to be able to use FL Studio to the same level as you're using Audacity. The reason why I'm such a huge advocate of FL Studio is because, number one, it's not hard to learn. Anyone who uses Audacity has no excuse, unless they can't get the software, to learn the software. Because you can learn this shit in 10 minutes. And the skill ceiling is a lot higher, so you can actually like do a lot more creative stuff. So now you have pressed generic E2, it is stretched, and now the acapella is in the same key. So we're going to want to start our acapella on the right time. What you can do is on the draw tool, you can actually take the box and like shift it around, so it's a little more easier to manage, right? Easier to manage. Now you can like click and drag it and move it around. So I'm going to start my acapella on a certain beat. Now my acapella is a little low, so I'm gonna actually drop my instrumental volume a tad bit. Actually, I'm gonna this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna boost my acapella volume to make sure. Okay, so when you click on a box, you can actually decrease the volume in this little window here. Okay, did you get all that?
Yep, so you just turn the circle around.
Good. So now we can sync our acapella, and let's say we want to, okay, so I'm going to teach you, so now we have got our acapella in sync, we've got our acapella in the right key, and if you want to pitch shift your acapella to like one semitone up or one semitone down, if you click on the box of the acapella where it says time stretching, you can actually mess with the pitch. So there's a little knob here that says pitch, and you're going to want to mess with that. Now, how much you turn the knob it will show you at the top left corner. Now, a semitone is measured in 100 cents. So if you want to go 2 semitones up, it's 200 cents. 1 semitone up, 100 cents. So you can actually play with it, and you can see on my top left screen it says 500 cents, 100 cents, and so on. So mine is actually in key already, so I'm going to leave it at 0 cent. But if you want, you can totally pitch shift it. Very easy.
Okay.
Okay. So we have our acapella and our instrumental. I'm going to teach you about the mixer. Mixer is essentially, when you click up here where it has like the different levels, the mixer is a bunch of channels that you can actually send your audio file to, and you can actually do effects here. Now, what I can do right now is I can actually modify the volume in the mixer, which is like a better technique for me. So I'm going to click on my instrumental. I've clicked on my instrumental, and on the top right corner it says effects. Now, when you click and drag the effects, you're actually sending it to a channel. So I've clicked and dragged it. I can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. I'm going to put it on effects 1. What this is telling me is that the audio file is on effects 1, and on the mixer it is linked to mixer number 1 right here. And you can even see mixer number 1 is highlighted. So we're in the mixer, and you can actually modify the volume of that, and you can actually add effects onto it. So I like modifying the volume of the instrumental in the mixer, and I'm going to show you why in a moment. But let's say I decrease the instrumental volume. So I put it at like 80%, and I think that's fine. Now, the nice thing is that you can actually have multiple audio files on the same mixer. So I know that in this mashup, I'm going to have interchanging vocals, so I'm going to put the original version of the song into the audio file, and I'm going to make sure that the waves kind of line up perfectly, and there you go, it's perfect. Now, this is only for when you're going between instrumentals and acapellas. Also a reminder that holding Alt is essentially taking off the snap feature for whenever you hold it. To the left here, you have all of these green lights, and what you can do is that you can actually press on the green light and mute the horizontal row. You can mute it. So in this case, I have my version with the vocals, and I have the instrumental. Now, what I did was, for my song The Bay Drive, I put it on effects 1 because let's say I modify the instrumental volume, but I can't get the original song volume to the same. So what I can do, I can actually go to effects 1, I can click on my original song, go to effects 1, and now it's telling me, hey, full song, you're on effects 1 now, which means that your volume is now this. So now both audio files will be in the exact same volume. You're going to see the benefits of using this later, but I'm just going to structure the mashup right now.
So how do I match a track to which track in the mixer?
Okay, so double click on the box of the audio file. Top right corner, it says effects, and you just kind of click and drag it to put it on any number. I put mine on 1. Okay, do you see that box I'm talking about?
I don't know.
Okay, could you open up a screen, like double click on Gangnam Style, and then send me a snapshot.
Sure.
Do you know how to do like volume automations in Audacity?
Do what, sorry?
Like do volume automations, like a fade in, a fade out, modifying the volumes and all that?
I do, yeah, it's pretty limited, but...
Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do that as well. So once you send me the snapshot, I'll be able to kind of like assist you with that.
Yeah, so I accidentally deleted the track somehow. Let me just redo that quickly.
Oh, you deleted the track?
It looks like it, yeah, not intentionally.
So you can actually press Control Z to undo, or sometimes if you keep pressing Control, like if you press Control Z and Control Z again, it'll like undo the undo. So what you can actually do, you can press Control Alt and Z, and you can actually keep going further. On the left hand side, you actually have the history. So it says current project and history, and it kind of like documents your past like 20 moves. So you can always like click onto one of these parts of the history and go back to that point. Okay. You'll see it in the video. It says current project history, and then yeah, you can actually like go back a certain amount of steps.
What's this? Oh,
This week's start.
Okay, are you getting the snapshot ready?
Ah, there it is. Yeah, so
Yeah, you can
I
just.
think Alt print screen is a shortcut in the Hefel Studio as well, or something. I'm not sure. Either way.
Okay, so you've opened that up. Now, where it says track on the top right corner, that's what the mixer is. I mean, that's what you're sending it to. So if you send it to track 1 in your mixer, it'll be like number 1. Right here.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. So your mixer panel should look identical to this, but essentially you've said, I want to put it on mixer 1, okay? So let's just leave that for now. Okay. Now, you can actually cut your audio file to shift it around, because right now it's one total block. It is just one block. Now, if we want to like arrange the acapella and put certain parts in certain places, we can actually like cut it. So on the top left corner, you actually have this tool called the slice tool, and you can click and drag and cut it downward. This is where zero cross like would try to like screw you up, but what you want to do, you want to cut like nicely when there's like when the audio is like muted and stuff like that, just so that you don't have any like abrupt kind of weird cuts. You can actually,
So it's literally just a splice for clip then.
yeah, it's literally that. You can actually hold shift and click wherever, and it'll just cut automatically. I personally like holding shift and cutting, because you can do like really quick cuts. So I'm gonna like cut it right here. Okay, and I can actually like, once I cut it, I can move the audio file where I want. And I can actually, so for my case, I have my other song, my song with the vocals. And then we can just kind of like shift it around. And see, like it snaps perfectly because we got the grid right from the start. And then we can actually like shift and click, and then we can cut away at it and stuff like that. So listen to this. So I actually cut that a little too short, so I'm just gonna like modify it again and then listen to it. See, there you go. Now you can like splice and cut and all that stuff. And then for me, I'm going to go back to my instrumental. I'm gonna find my chorus. So I can actually just kind of like shorten that and then drag it around. And then see, I can like cut it. And then right click with the pencil tool will actually delete the thing. So like it's out of the project. I mean, it's out of the workspace. Now, interesting thing is that whenever you click on an audio file with the pencil tool, you can actually press it and you can like copy it. Like it'll just automatically, you press it once, it's in your kind of your copy thing, and you can actually like just paste it wherever. You can also use Control C and Control V. It's totally fine. Even if you delete an audio file, you can actually bring it back fairly easily, and I'll show you that soon. So on my screen, I've done that. I have guitar stems, so I'm just going to click and drag the guitar stems in. And I know that the guitar stems are at 139 beats per minute, so I'm going to go to time stretching, right click on time, auto detect, type in beats per minute, 139, okay. Resample, I'm going to go to pro default, in your case generic A2. Like when you rewatch the video, like you'll see like the whole workflow of it. Okay. Okay, and then I can like put my chorus here as well.
And I can tell just what you want. You don't want to be alone. You don't want to be alone. And I can tell just what you want. You don't want.
See, and that's the basics of it.
That's
Okay.
okay.
So is this making sense, or did something kind of throw you off, or how
No,
was?
that makes sense so far.
Okay, wonderful. Like when you see the video, it'll like everything will click. Now let's talk about effects. Let's say I want to make this guitar really reverby, so I'm going to mute all my channels and listen to the guitar. So I'm going to send the guitar to a mixer. I'm going to double click on it, and where it says effects, I'm going to bring this to effects 2, or in your case, it would be track 2. Now, when we go into the mixer, what you're telling the audio file is, hey, audio file, before you play, you need to go through the mixer. And now that I've gone through the mixer, I can actually have all of these effects at my disposal. So over to the right here in the drop-down menu, I can click that and press, like, all of these effects that I can play with. You know, if you want to do like a Splatoon Gemboy Squid Splatoon vocal thing, you can do it in FL Studio. So it's like a lot of neat little stuff.
So I'll be clicking on slot 2 then? So would I be clicking on slot 2, or does the slot not matter for the special effect?
You can put it on number 2, you can put it on 3, it doesn't matter. I like to keep
Okay.
things organized. I like to put it on 2. So I'm gonna, for like up here on the right corner, you can put it anywhere, it does not matter. You can go
Okay.
I'm gonna go reverb 2, and now when I listen to my guitar, it's gonna sound more reverby. And I can actually screw with these little settings, and I can like increase the wetness. Wherever you see a knob or a sliding kind of like a leveler kind of thing, you can actually automate it. You can automate it completely. Every time you see a knob, you can automate it. So you can actually have reverb more in some areas and less reverb in some areas. You can have a delay effect in some areas, you can have a delay effect in other areas. So I put a little bit of reverb on the guitar. I'm going to show you how to automate volume now. Let's say I want to automate the acapella. I'm going to double click on the acapella, and where it says volume up here, I can right click and say create automation clip. Now when you press that, it shows this new bar that has come up, and by the way, you can click and drag the track to increase the size of it so that you can go more detail. And now when you right click anywhere on the channel volume envelope, you can create control points, and you can say you can make the volume anything you want during the project file. Another thing that, like, if you drop down a point, you can hold shift and lock it in the horizontal position, or you can hold control and go in the vertical position. If you want to copy the value of one point, you can right click on a point and press copy value. And now for every point that you click on, you can actually right click on a point and press paste value, and it will paste the exact value of, you know, the volume and stuff. So just to give you a little example, I'm just going to kind of like mess with the volume here.
Right. So do I go to create record smash clip?
Yep. So you double click on the audio file, go to your volume knob, right click, and create automation clip.
Okay, perfect, got it. That lets me put dips in volume.
Yep. And then you can like right click and then you can like control it. And if you want to do a fade off, you can. Like I'm going to show you it, like, see, I'm going to show in the video. So regular volume, and I can make it quiet. Just going to come back again. So like, yeah, you can do all that with volume. And you can also right click a point and press delete if you don't want that point anymore. Another interesting thing is that if your volume kind of automation repeats, you can actually use the slicer tool and slice the volume automation. And you can right click off of like, you can right click and delete certain parts of it. So really neat stuff like that. For my case, I don't need an automation clip, so I'm going to get rid of that. So now we have learned how to put our audio files into the project file, how to sync our acapellas, how to pitch shift our acapellas, how to get it in key, and how to send every single audio file to an effect. You can do all of that now. So at this point, you should be at the same level as if you learned Audacity. I mean, it's to the extent that you know Audacity, and it's only been 30 minutes, right? So now you know FL Studio to the same level of Audacity. Now, there's a lot more you can do. You can do like little piano effects. You can do stuff like that. I'm just gonna quickly go over. Let's say you deleted your. Okay, in my case, let's say I delete my lead guitar by accident. It's like, shit, I don't want to have to click and drag the lead guitar in all over again. So what I can do is I can go up here where it says View Step Sequencer and click it. And now I've opened up this kind of window. And now where it says Audio Clips, I can go to All, and now I can see every single audio clip that this project file has ever used. Now I want to bring back my guitar, so I can click on one of these, and I can press on Sample up here. So now it has this little box here, and now I can just click and drag the box back into the project file, and then there it is all over again. Yep, and notice that the guitar has a little bit of reverb. That's because we sent it to effects too. So the logic behind it is you put the audio file in the workspace, say, hey, I want you to play the audio file, but then the mixer says, oh, but you have to go through me first. And then that's when, you know, you do all that. Another thing that you can do is you can actually make blending a little easier. If you double click on whatever file you want to blend and go to declicking up here, right now it says transient no bleeding. What we can do, we can actually go to generic bleeding, and essentially what it'll do is that it'll kind of squeeze the audio file here so that it gives like a nice gradual drop off. So if you want to mix acapellas or instrumentals, this is a nice clean way to like merge them if they're overlapping. So you can do smooth, and see, look, the squeeze is now a lot more gradual. Since I have cut the audio files in places where it's mute and I don't have to worry about that, I can actually put declicking off to out only. So there now it just does a hard cut, but the instrumental masks it, so it's okay. Now I'm going to teach you about make unique as sample, or make unique. Let's say I have my acapella here, but I want to have the same acapella in, but I want to have it on another effect. Let's say I want my chorus to be more reverby, like have more reverb on it. I can't just click on the block and press effects and then go to that, because everything that is this block, which is the verse and the chorus, it's gonna say, oh, you want reverb? I'll put reverb on all of it. But let's say we don't want that. So what we can actually do, we can actually go up here, and if you actually look really closely on the top left corner, there's a little kind of little audio wave thingy. You can left click on it, make unique, and wait, where's make unique? Yeah, you press make unique, and now essentially it's duplicating your audio file. So now that this block in particular is different from the previous block, it's as if it understands it as a completely new audio file. So now it says, what you know, acapella number 2. So let's say my verse was on effects number 3, and now I can actually go to my chorus and put my effects on number 4. So when you make unique, you can actually like do that kind of stuff. So I'm gonna go back to automation clips for a little bit. Let's say for the guitar, I don't want the whole thing to be reverb. I can actually double click on it, so it's on effects 2, we know that. We can go to the mixer, it's on effects 2. Where it says reverb 2, I'm just gonna increase the wetness just to show the contrast. You can, where it has a knob on the right, you can right click on the knob and say create automation clip. And now you have created an automation clip. What this is telling me is that you want the reverb to be 100% all the time. But let's say we don't want it to be 100% all the time. We can actually right click it, can drop that point down, and then create the envelope like this and say, I want you to start off with very little reverb, but at the tail end I want you to have a lot of reverb and all that stuff. And then you can like kind of click and drag these points and say that, oh, I don't want any reverb there. And then if you go to the top here on the pencil, like if you go to the top of the audio bar, you can actually have this little arrow thing. You can actually click and drag it like that at the top of the audio box. You can click and drag it, and you can even like use a slice tool and slice off like the tail end of what you don't need anymore. And then you can like right click on the top, delete it, and see like that. Now when we listen to it, we're gonna have areas where that has a little bit of reverb and areas that have a lot more reverb. So it's actually progressing. So yeah, a lot of reverb there, and pretty much you can automate anything. So there you go. That's the fundamentals of FL Studio, just like that.
Perfect, thanks.
Yeah, it'll make more sense because I know because the delay, you can't really it's kind of difficult to like piece together what I'm saying and having the video delayed. But once you see the video, it'll be like totally understandable. So yeah, there you go. You can do effects, and like you want to do crazy effects, you want reverb, you want delay, you want compressor, a filter. You can do so much with it. Like I'm just gonna slap a filter onto it right now and then listen to it, and then we can like mess with the filter and do all this kind of. So you can do so much with it. And yep, that's essentially it. Let's say you want to listen to one audio file on its own. You can actually press the playback tool, which is this little speaker icon to the top left. And you can like hold left click and just play it from wherever part you want. Okay, so it's best practice to always have your thing snap onto the grid. So like you see, my instrumental snapped perfectly onto the grid. My acapella is snapped perfectly onto the grid. And the reason being is that if I ever kind of like chop the acapella in a certain area and I like move it around, I can look at the grid and be like, oh, that's like a good, like that's identical. So if you look at this, what you know acapella part 2, I have these 3 little blocks here. And if I go over here to the verse, it actually ends on the 3 blocks. So it's like it's timed perfectly, and there's no guesswork, there's no micromanagement work. It's all snapping perfectly to the grid. And let's say you want to take off an effect, you can actually press the green light, and you can actually like turn off the effect and all that. You can automate the volume in the mixer as well. That's also another common strategy. And that's it. That's FL Studio for the basics of mashups. Okay, sound good?
Yeah, it's everything. Thanks.
Okay, no problem. And if you want to continue this, I still have like another half an hour. Do you want me? I can teach you like advanced stuff if you're down.
No, I don't mind. I'm fond of that.
Okay. Actually, one thing that I forgot to mention, you have the select tool, so you can actually select. It's like a box. You can actually select certain audio files and move them all at the same time. So I actually have, since it actually starts a few, like I'm okay with the audio starts like a second late, but what you can do is that you can actually like decrease it a little bit, like that, and then like no one's gonna notice that. You can do Control All, and you can shift it right to the start, and then it'll all fall perfectly onto a beat, and it's it's literally the same thing, but you just started a little earlier. Okay, now let's say we want to do some melody work, because I friggin' love melody work. go into the step sequencer and go to all. Now it'll have things like kick, clap, hat, and snare and all that. I'm going to insert a piano. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on one of these little, I'm going to right click on snare. I'm going to do insert, and I'm going to go to FL keys. FL keys is a native to FL Studio, so it's like you automatically have it, so you can actually follow along with this. I'm going to click on FL keys, and now I've opened up a piano. And
So where's the step sequencer?
the step sequencer is up here. It's like, it looks like 4 little rectangles next to each other. If you can't find it, feel free to like send me a screenshot. What happened to not streaming for a month? This is a pleasant surprise. Well, I'm streaming on West, so I mean, like, it's not a main channel stream, so of course I'm not going to be sitting down for like 8 hours mixing music. Fjord. Okay, so we have. Okay, were you able to find the step sequencer?
Not just yet, no.
Okay, so I'm gonna look at it right now. I'm going to kind of like use your screenshot, and I'm gonna draw a little red circle with it right here. Hey, this is the step sequencer. Okay, good.
Okay, there.
And then you should see something like this. Do you see something like this? Hold on. I'm just gonna do another screenshot. Does it look like this?
Not quite. It's showing channel rack for me. It's only showing my own tracks. It's not showing any instruments.
Okay, so what you want to do is on the bottom left corner, click on that little drop down tab and press all. Okay? And then now it should have like friggin' like kicks and snares and stuff like that.
Yeah, there it is.
Okay, perfect. So now we're gonna right click on one of these things. Like you can click on the kick, you can click on the clap, whatever. You just want a place to put, you just want to have the insert tab open. So I just put in like FL keys, like right click, insert, and then just find FL keys in the drop down menu.
Got it.
Okay, and then FL keys, does it have a little piano open?
It does.
Cool. Now what you can do is that you can actually, I'm going to teach you about patterns now. So you have songs and you have patterns. So now we're working with patterns now. So before we were working with songs. You can right click on FL keys and go to piano roll. And now you can actually drop down notes of a piano. Right?
Yep.
You can drop down notes on a piano. But we're just gonna like leave that blank for a moment. Up here, right next to your beats per minute, there should be something called pat. That's short for pattern. Let me see if your screen has that. Yeah, so it says pattern 1. So you're gonna want to click on pattern 1, and you're gonna drop down a box anywhere in the project file. So now you're saying that whatever there's a pattern, I want you to play at some point. So we have like an open box that just says pattern. So did you drop that into your project file already?
Yep, that's in there.
Okay, so you have your pattern. Now what we can do is we can double click on the pattern, or we can open up piano roll by clicking on the step sequencer and clicking on FL keys and piano roll. You open up the piano roll, and then now we can actually start like dropping down notes. So I'm gonna actually recreate the melody of what you know. Do 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 do. Okay, hold on. You could also like Control A and Control C, Control V, and you can copy it and then like, yeah. See, like that.
I mean, you can just put the pattern anywhere on the project file.
What?
I mean, you just put the pattern anywhere on the project file.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you very well. My computer fan is very loud.
Yeah, that's fine. So then I just have a pattern anywhere on the project file, and it will just play those keys.
Yep, and like see like how I'm dropping it into here. So. Okay, so you can always like you know how I pressed like the recycle button, right? You can actually press it and then you can actually like listen to the pattern only. Or you can go into your audio file. Because we dropped the pattern into the project file already, we can actually play it. So I actually have the lead guitar on right now, so like that's why you're hearing like both of them at the same time. Let's say if we turn off the lead guitar and we turn back on the instrumental and listen to it. And we can actually make the piano a little louder. In the sequencer, here you'll have a knob that's in the center. That's for panning. We're not going to touch that yet, but there's actually a volume thing, and you can actually increase the volume there. Yeah, so you can do stuff like that. Actually, I'm just going to fix this up quickly. Okay, and then nice thing is that you can just copy and paste it again, and then you can like drag it and stuff like that. And then you can also extend the note as well, and that kind of drags it out. So now we can go back to the view playlist button, and there we have it. We have a little bit of a melody going on. So that's essentially what I do for a lot of my mashups. I'll interject my own melody. And what you dropped down in the piano roll now is called a MIDI. A MIDI is data that says, I want you to play this note, or this note on a piano. But of course, if you download other things, like there are other kind of built-in things. There's more than a piano. You can get like a guitar, you can get all that stuff, and then you can just use MIDIs and just do that. So if you want to do melodies, that's how you do it. Okay?
Right.
Okay. And neat thing about the piano roll is that you can actually change the intensity of the note. So if you want like a mezzo piano, you can actually drop the intensity of it so it's a little softer, or you can like increase make some notes stronger, like a mezzo forte or so on. So you have those dynamics. Okay? So that is melody. Those are melodies. I don't see a lot of mashup people doing like melody stuff, so that's like a really cool thing that I think it should be like learned, because at that point you're like you're having a little more fun with the mashup. I'm gonna mute the pattern for now, and now let's say I'm doing like a gem boy thing. I want to have beats in my mashup. So in pattern 1 I did like a piano, but if I were to do my beats on pattern 1, it's going to play the beats and the piano at the same time, and I don't want that to happen. I want to be able to control it individually. So at pattern 1, I'm going to go to pattern 2, and now it's all clean. I can actually start dropping down kicks and claps and so on. So I can actually drop down stuff. So notice how it's 4, 4, 4, and 4 in the sequencer. So these are counts of 4. So I can actually drop down pattern 2 and see like that my one kick is represented like a little peg. So I can do like, and let's say it's like, oh, I want to have more in the sequence on the top left here. it says beats per bar for this pattern. Like in the top left, it'll say what you're actually hovering on. So I'm going to increase that to 8, and I'm going to like do that. Boo, boo. Oh, hold on. Okay, let's say I do a simple beat like this. Okay, so I've created a simple beat. By the way, if you want to like take out a note, you just right click on it. So okay. And now, like let's say like, well, for me I have like different sample packs, so I have different like kicks and claps. So I'm just gonna like make it sound a little better. You can actually just like, once you get like different packs, you can actually like just click and drag it and change what you're actually like sequencing. Okay. Now it's like, oh, I want to have this, but I don't want to have to click and like shift it and all that stuff and try to get it into the right thing. We're gonna click it once, left click, with the draw feature, and now it's on our like paintbrush. So we're gonna click on paint, which is this little brush here, and we can literally just click and drag it, and there we go. We have our whole sequence just like that. And then we can like bring that, and then so this is what Jumboy does. And now if we turn everything on, we can actually do stuff like this. Okay, actually I want this piano a little higher, so I can actually Control A on the piano, hold Control and press up, and now we've shifted it an entire octave up, which is the same note just in a higher register. See? So you can do stuff like that. Now, let's say we have our beat and we want to do something like, let's say we want our kicks and our snares to really punch through, and we want to put effects onto our beats. What we can do is, okay, I have the snare, and the snare itself is an audio file. Like, this audio file is like, oh yeah, I want you to, like, I want, like the snare is like the same audio file as the snare is the same audio as any other audio file in this project. So right here it says effects on the top right corner, or it might say track. Let's say I want to bring this to effects 4. I can actually open it up and I can start putting effects onto it. I can EQ it, I can do like reverb. So let's say I want this snare to be like really like echoey or reverby, so I can actually, I just put it like there, and now listen. So you can do cool stuff like that. So that's just how you do like a beat. I'm gonna teach you a little bit about EQ, because I think EQ is quite important. EQing is essentially when you have an audio file and you're playing it through your speakers, what music is, or what sound is that it's changing the vibrations of the wave part of the air particles in the air. So when you actually modify the frequencies, it'll play less of a certain frequency. So the lower the frequency is more of a bassy thing, but if you go the higher frequencies, it's more like a more like high pitched kind of thing. So let's say I want my acapella to be a little more, like let's say I want to EQ my acapella. So I'm going to put it on effects 5. So I put my chorus on effects 5. And now I'm on effects 5, and I can go to this drop down menu, parametric EQ 2. Now when we play the audio file, we can actually look at where the voice is occupying in terms of the whole spectral frequency. Let's say I want to emphasize, like, let's say I want to remove the bass a little bit of the voices. And you can like change it even more. So that sounds more like a walkie-talkie.
And I can't tell just what you want.
A lot of it is playing with it.
And I can't tell just what you want. You don't want to.
And then if you ever kind of mess it up, you can right click and press reset on any of these little 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7s. Okay? It'll be more coherent when you see it in the video. So there you have it. Beats and melodies. And that's essentially it. Let's say you want to pitch shift certain parts of the song, right? Let's say if you want to have like a certain part of the acapella to be in a higher pitch than everything else. What you can actually do is you can actually use your little slicer tool, slice it, and then we can press something like make unique as sample. It's literally the same as make unique, but make unique as sample, you essentially save it as its own audio file. So what we can actually do is that we can actually just press make unique again, and now it's what you know acapella number 3. And now when we pitch shift this part will be pitch shifted, but nothing else, like all the other files, won't be pitch shifted. So I have acapella 3 and I have acapella 2 here. I can actually double click on acapella 3, increase the pitch a little bit, and now it's going to stretch the whole thing to make sure that it's pitched correctly. And then we can play it, and you can actually hear the difference of the different audio pitches. And we're just going to listen to the vocals.
And I can't tell just what you want.
See, notice how it just went like really weird, right? So like that's exactly what we're looking for.
And I can't tell just what you want.
And let's say I don't like that and I want the original back. You can right click on whatever you just like made unique, and then you can like delete that. And you can use your pencil tool and literally just click and drag this out, so that now you've restored back like your audio file.
And I can't tell just what you want.
Okay, so we're just gonna listen to this, what this sounds like. You can do all sorts of stuff like that. And let's say I want to fade out right at the end of the chorus. Okay, I'm going to teach you about the master track now. So you know how the audio file is like, I want to play something, but then the mixer is like, hold on, I want you to do what I'm saying now. The master track essentially says, all of you, I am in control of all of you. So the master track, if we go to the channel mixer, and we click on master, this is like the whole thing. Generally, I don't like to put any effects on the master, because you're essentially taking every single audio file in the project file and making it have that effect. So this goes through different screening processes, kind of like an interview. You know, you go through different screening processes. The master is the final boss. So on the master track, like for example, like Guntroll, he'll love putting reverb on the master track, right? I don't recommend that at all, but if you want to have like the master track, like let's say I only use the master track for like volume and stuff. So if I right click on the master track, like where the volume is, I can actually create an automation clip, and now this is the volume for the entire project file. So let's say I want to kind of do a fade out. I'm going to right click on wherever the volume was originally. So I'm going to right click on this little point, copy value, and then let's say I want to fade it out right here. I'm going to right click, and it created a point, and it might have shifted the whole line, but it's okay because we saved the value. We're going to right click on that and paste value. And now we can right click, create another point, and then we can just drag it all the way down. And now we are telling you the whole master audio track to fade out, and we're just going to listen to that right now.
You've known it the whole time.
And there you go, we've faded out the entire master track. Okay, and then we can literally just cut all of this, get rid of all of it, holding right click and just kind of like dragging, and then we've gotten rid of it. So now we have, you know, our whole mashup kind of put together.
You've known it the whole time.
Okay, now when it comes to exporting, you can go to File in the top left. Also, it's good practice to save your project files. If you press Save, it'll open up a new prompt and save it to whatever folder you like. The default will be the FL Studio projects folder, and you can always access it at any time by pressing like open and stuff. If you're using a trial version of FL Studio, if you can't open any of the audio files, but you can save audio files. So you can save, you can open, and then it'll do all that stuff. Now, if you want to export this audio file, go to File, Export, and now it is giving you options. WAV file, MP3 file, OGG, MIDI, whatever. Generally, you're going to want to export it as an MP3 or as a WAV file. You just press it, and now it's going to like give you a little prompt and says like, oh, how do you want to save this? So I'm just going to do a quick example right now. I'm going to save this as Greybaum test or something like that. I guess.
Of any specific settings I want when I save it.
Yeah, so I'm gonna hit save, and now this little window has come up. When you're doing MP3 files, make sure that you're at 320 kilobytes per second right here, kbps, 320 kbps. That's the CD quality. I never touch any of these, but like you can look up what I have on my screen right now and copy that. I find that this is perfectly fine. So there you have it. Now you are equipped with the same knowledge to produce every single mashup I have ever done up to color washed. You now have the same knowledge of that.
Right, okay.
Okay, yeah. So, you know, vocal chopping and screwing, that's the thing that I love for some friggin' reason. So we can actually vocal chop and screw our current acapella. Actually, let me open up another project file. I'm gonna open up another project file, and this is gonna be like, because I see you have the Gangnam Style acapella open up, and that's what you're like using as your base. So I'm gonna show you how to do vocal chopping and screwing with the A sample from Gangnam Style. For some reason, it can't locate the A file, so that is pretty much a failure. So I can't do that, but I can actually recreate one. Actually, it might be better if I okay. Just keep looking at my screen. It's gonna open up the project file soon, and then we'll be able to go into the pitch shifting part. There are many different ways to pitch shift. There's one way where you can keep making unique clips and cutting it and like pitch shifting each individual one. I personally don't like that way. Nico Plus used to do that. I don't particularly agree with that method. You know how we sent sent things to like the piano roll, like how we sent the FL keys to a piano roll?
Yeah.
You can create a vocal sample and send that to a piano roll, and then you can play your voice as a piano. So that's how people do the Gangnam Style like mashups with the A shifting and all that. Okay. Actually, this project file is taking a little while to open, so we're just gonna wait a little longer. And yeah, there are different ways to do vocal chopping and screwing, but I think the piano roll is like a really easy way. Like that's how I did it for the home mashup. And yeah, there are other ways like using new tone and stuff. So I'm gonna show you how to do that soon.
How do I send it to piano roll?
Sorry, what?
How do I send it to piano roll?
How do you send what to piano roll?
The vocal clip.
Oh, okay, I'll show you right now. Hold on. Okay, so I'm gonna take the A sample. Hold on. Okay, so I have the A sample right here. I'm going to use my cutting tool, and I'm just gonna cut it, and I'm just gonna get rid of that. So I'm gonna cut that. Cut this. Okay. So there's the A sample. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to click on the top left corner of this box, which is the audio file box, make unique as sample, and then I'm going to save it as I'm gonna save this, and I'm gonna call this audio file Gangnam Style Acapella A. Okay. I'm gonna press save, and now it is now a kind of like a block. And if we can actually delete the block for a moment, go into the step sequencer, and now see where that block actually went. So the block is actually located Hold on, let me just find it. Actually, so here's the audio file. And now I'm going to go onto a pattern. In this case, I'm going to go into pattern 6 that I've never... Actually, sorry, no, I'm going to go on pattern 8. And now I can actually right-click on the sample, piano roll, and now I can pitch shift A. See, just like that. Now, it's good practice to right-click on the sample and press cut itself. When you press cut itself, your vocal chops won't bleed into each other. So it terminates whenever the beginning of the next one starts. So if we listen to this, there you go. Now I actually have a MIDI file already prepared for this, so I'm going to open up the MIDI file. I'm just going to copy the MIDI, and I'm just going to go into the A part that I was literally just on. Right, which in this case is on effects. Sorry, pattern 8, or was it 7? Yes, pattern 8. So, hold on, let me just find the audio file again. Okay, I'm gonna go to piano roll, and now I'm gonna click and drag it, and then I can listen to it. Sometimes when you like drag and drop MIDIs, it'll like appear elsewhere. Like you just gotta like move it all the way back. So it's gonna sound like this. Okay, so I can like click and drag that kind of pattern here, and then now I can play it. That's actually off key. So I'm gonna select all of it, hold, press Control A, and now I can hold Shift and press up and down on the keyboard to actually change the whole note. There you go. Now, the neat thing about piano roll is that you can actually have sliders. And what sliders does is that it automates the pitch of the note as it's being sustained. So let's say I have a Gangnam Style A on root C, but I want to ramp it up. I can actually press up here, which is on the top left, it's called slide. I can press it, and then I can like put it anywhere. Now what this is telling me is that I want to start A on root C and ramp up to an F note. So we're going to listen to this right now. There you go. And then in my project file, we have, you know, the piano roll, we have the, you know, the sliders and all that. So you can actually get like stuff that sounds like this. Right? And then once like the pattern's in there, we can like do all that stuff. And as you'd expect, you can actually cut you can cut all the patterns as well. You can cut the pattern and then you can like shorten it and do whatever you want. Okay, so, it'll make more sense when you look at the video. I'm going to show you now how to pitch shift using Newtone. I personally like using Melodyne, but since Newtone is like a native for FL Studio, it's you know, you can totally just use Newtone. But the nice thing about Melodyne is that you can do formant shifting, which will make voices sound more like lower or masculine or more feminine. What DJ Shitposter did was that he used a formant shift on Michael Jackson's vocals and noticed how Michael Jackson sounded demonic in that mashup. I don't think it's a good mashup at all. But if you listen to the vocals, you'll sound demonic, and that's because he uses a formant shift. Now I'm going to show you what it's going to look like. Okay, so I've dropped an acapella into my my project file, and I'm only going to be pitch shifting the chorus. Okay, I'm going to pitch shift this part only. So this part is actually called an accidental note in music theory. It's when a part of like the notes within the scale actually drift out of scale to create musical intrigue. So I've shortened it. Now because I only want this part, I'm gonna click on the top left corner, make unique as sample, and I'm gonna like save it as whatever file I want. And now I'm going to bring this to FX1. Now I'm on FX1. I can open this up and go to new tone up here. And now I'm going to click on, well, oh, by the way, this whole kind of window that you see with your workspace, you can actually double click on it and actually minimize it. So it's a little more easier to manage. You can actually double click on this. So I have my audio file, which is my acapella, and I'm going to drag it. Now I've dragged it into new tone. And now what new tone has done is that it has read all of the audio files, it has read all of it, and now like these are the notes of the song. So this is actually what Naki Nico did. What Naki Nico did, he actually pitch shifted this part up. You can do that. So here's the original, and this is what Naki Nico did. And just a little bit of music theory. Notice how there's certain notes appearing at the all the time. You have G sharp, you have A sharp, you have D sharp, you have C sharp, you have root C, and all that stuff. Notice how this note is actually on a B. That B doesn't show up anywhere else. This is an accidental note. So what he did was that he shifted the B note to C, and then that's what he did for Hajime to bounce. And yeah, that's like really basic pitch shifting. The reason why I like this pitch shifting is because you can actually do like pitch shift long spans of sentences. So you can actually mess with the vocals quite a bit. And yeah. Yeah. And you can do that stuff. And then when you want to send this into the project file, you can press up here where it has this little kind of, it looks like your workspace. You press it, it sends it to there, and now if we look at our workspace one more time, there you have it. It has these little orange markers, and what you do, you just delete your original acapella, and then here you have it. Stuff like that. So that's how you pitch shift long spans of words. If you notice how, if you listen to Mahado's mashups, wait, do you listen to Mahado's mashups?
Some.
Yeah, some. So, Idolmaster will throw in accidental notes all the time. And within the context of the original instrumental works with the accidental note to accommodate for that, so it doesn't sound too jarring, but it adds intrigue, right? A lot of times with Idolmaster vocals, they'll throw in accidental notes like crazy, and Mahado, not knowing the music theory behind it, he'll just say, oh, this acapella is in key, and then he'll just completely disregard the accidental note. So when you do it this way, you can actually control the accidental note and put it on one of the keys in the scale. So now your mashup is completely correct. So that's what Naki Nico does, that's what I do, that's what all of us do. Another thing with new tone is that you can actually like correct the vocals as well. So where the red line is, that's the pitch of the note. So notice how this note right here actually drifts a tiny bit. You can actually hold Alt and scroll wheel and actually see it more like in vertical expanded. So you can actually like double click on it, and then you can actually like control the variation of the note. So yeah, you can actually like control it like that. And you can just play with this, like it's really fun to play with. And then you can also control A and center all the vocals so that it snaps perfectly onto a key. Oftentimes, I don't like doing that because it messes with the original integrity of the vocals. Because the singer, a singer doesn't always sing perfectly in key. A singer will have tonal variation, and that's what makes them unique. Mahado thinks that, oh, if I just center all my vocals, it'll be perfectly in key. And I told him, Mahado, you're stupid, you're wrong, don't do that. But then, what do you know? He does it for 4 more times, and I warn him another 3 times, and he does that shit anyways. So I don't know what's wrong with him. But anyways, you can actually do that with center. You can actually center the vocals so that it's actually a little more in key. When I made Color Washed, the girls are supposed to sound like kids when they're singing. So, you know, kids, sometimes they go off key, right? Or no, they go off pitch. They'll stay in the same key, but they'll go off pitch. So that's when you can actually go in and micro correct all the vocals and make it sound a little more cleaner. So yeah, that's it, right? So now you have the same level of knowledge to produce a mashup like Color Washed. That's it. That's FL Studio. Also, up here you have a little metronome. So if you want to like sync your thing correctly, you can actually like play the metronome. And then that metronome might help you like sync up your acapellas and stuff like that. Okay?
Yeah.
So there you have it. Now you have the same level of knowledge as me in FL Studio. And really, well, there's things like gross beat and stuff like that, which is like how to make like DJ scratches or how to chop your vocals in weird ways. But as I am aware that your kind of style of making mashups is a little more of a hands-off approach, and it's more like combination driven. So I mean, really, for the first half an hour of this kind of session, that's pretty much all you need to know. And once you get the hang of things and you get the workflow and all that, it's totally gonna be fine, and you're gonna like realize that you don't really need Audacity after all. Okay?
Yeah.
So that's the tutorial. Do you have any other questions?
Not yet, but I'm sure I will do later.
That's great. Yeah, like look at the tutorial. If you have any questions, just message me. It's like when the visuals and the audio like sync up, it's gonna be totally understandable. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna end the stream now, and it's gonna be archived onto West. All right.
Sure.